And we're back for part 2. And wow, there has been a lot of twists and turns, but we're here. So, first thing is the transmission needs to go back and get replaced with a new unit. Thankfully, we kept our receipt. The yard has a 6-month warranty. If anything happens to it, they accepted it. So, ignore the fact the motor's gone. We'll come back to that. But let's get this transmission into the work truck. And yes, this is going to be a work truck for today. We got our nice Harbor Freight tarp down with some cardboard underneath. And please, please, please don't leak any transmission fluid in my car. That is the worst case scenario, but I think we should be okay. Famous last words. You've probably already asked, how are you going to get this transmission into that car by yourself? Truthfully, I don't know. I'm going to improv, see what we can do, but we got to work with what we have, and that is moi. So it's the first idea is a little sketchy, really dangerous, and requires being a little bit strong. He's strong like an ox. The first way, I got inspiration from watching strongman competitions, and you could put on here, and then lift. But I am not a strongman, so it's also very sketchy, quite a distance from there. And we're not doing the whole pick and pull for $50, but you gotta walk it across the line. I think we might have to do an alternative method. And this is option number 2, which is making a ramp out of spare wood that I had lying around, using the sled, for lack of a better term, that the transmission came on, and we're going to pull it up into my Durango as if I am pushing the Trojan horse. Is it optimal? Absolutely not. Is it safe? Questionable. There is a single cinder block under here for a little bit of anti-flex, but we're gonna send it. That thing's like every bit of 315, 325, but it's in. All right, we have gotten the brand used second transmission. Let's do it in reverse. So before you put the key in and start firing away, trying to get this thing to start, we need to make sure that this fresh engine is primed. While it was being put together, I put a ton of assembly oil into the pump and spun it around, tried to make it a little easier, but what we're going to do is what was recommended to me by the machine shop, which involves this device, a couple other attachments, and some directions that I have already taken the liberty of partially ripping, because why would we need those? So where the action all is going to take place, and I'll explain it a little bit better, is going to be here. So we're going to unscrew our oil pressure sensor, make sure that we thread in a brand new oil filter, and we're going to use this contraption to prime our engine and circulate a lot of oil before starting it up. And we had a little snafu with the fittings and the sizes, so we are now hooked up and ready to prime. So what are we going to use to prime this fresh engine? So for our little crock pot, so to speak, we're going to be putting first some conventional 5W20, and it has to be conventional. That's just going off of what the machine shop told me. This thing holds about 4.2, so let's go ahead and start getting our oil poured in, and try not to make a ginormous mess. I think you guys get the idea. And don't worry, we are gonna make sure that we fill the oil filter and put it on the engine so that way the oil doesn't go everywhere. And having it filled just is one less thing that has to be primed. It's also in the directions that it needs to be done, so who am I to deny them what they ask? Oh my. There we go. So let's go ahead and get that on there. The other thing is, technically, by Google, it says that this takes 4.2 quarts. And the last 0.2 is gonna be Lucas Oil TB Zinc Plus break-in jam oil, whatever you wanna call it. But we're gonna get that in here as well, because I am loading this thing up with quite a bit of oil and pressurized air. What could possibly go wrong? So, while I was referencing the directions, I saw tank pressure of 100 PSI. After further inspection, it is maxed out. The most it can take is 100. And I thought, you know, that seems a little bit excessive. Like 100 pounds going into this motor would just make oil go out of every orifice. So we're gonna guesstimate. And you know we're 173 TV. So let's, something with a 13, a 7, a 3. Why don't we do, let's do 47. Because I don't want to be too short. I mean, I guess you could always like put more in. Let's go 37. Let's get 3.7. Wish me luck. Okay, 37 pounds. And I do not have anything to clean up a mess because we're not gonna make a mess. That's just stupid. So here goes. Well, that was quite a learning experience, and we have gotten oil everywhere. But we have our sensor back in with some thread tape, and I had to kind of use my ears on this when I sat here, and I was expecting this pressure gauge to slowly drain. Like, oh, there's no pressure because all the oil's in the motor. Well, it had pressure, and I could listen, and I could hear the oil like slurping and surging its way through. And I was like, okay, cool, so it's getting some oil. And then I hand cranked over the engine probably like 5 times, and the pressure wouldn't go down. So I'm like, what the hell is the problem here? Well, turns out there wasn't any oil in it, and it was just air pressure. So this has successfully been primed, and it's actually the first motor I've ever primed by myself. So I'm feeling a little, you know, pat myself on the back a little. Tomorrow is going to come the hard part, which is going to be putting the front clip back on, getting some coolant in it. I've already got trans fluid in it, and cranking this thing up, getting it to temp, and bled. So that way I can go to the dealer and get the transmission programmed, and they can take it on a drive, hopefully set the rings. I'll explain to them the situation and pray that they can help me out a little bit. But it means drive it around for like 5 or 6 miles. It'll set the rings, right? So, a lot of learning going on here tonight. Well, we have been hard at work, and it looks like a car again, which is awesome. And now begins the hard part, which is going to be the first start. Just for safety, we got ourselves a fire extinguisher and some water, because something's better than nothing. Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire and everything just works. You know, nothing has to be replugged in, and it's just smooth. One of the big things that we need to look for, obviously, is to make sure that we have oil pressure. So I'll be hooking up to my OBD2 port and reading live data. And as an extra reminder, I can take the needs oil tape off of the keys because we primed the engine last night. And little stuff like this might seem silly, but it's all fun and games until you're running an engine with no oil pressure and you're very sad. So we have gotten the car back. Transmission has been programmed for the 2nd time, and the car still doesn't run right. And I know what you're thinking, what could it possibly be? I had the same question because I've touched basically almost every mechanical thing on this car. Well, it had no power and couldn't go anywhere. And after further review, it looks like this is going to be our problem. Kind of hard to see without a light, but it would appear that the good old catalytic converter is clogged. Right until the bitter end, this car won't let me get rid of it, and it loves me working on it apparently. So we're going to go ahead and unclog. Unclog, really? We're gonna unclog it. We're gonna go ahead and just beat the crap out of it and get all the insides out and move on. It is a little hard to see, but there appears to be quite a bit of buildup inside the catalytic converter. So I'll go ahead and buy when they say that it's clogged. One might say, oh, just cut off the catalytic converter and put a straight pipe. And I love that. That's great energy. I love the aura. But if we're selling this, someone has to be able to get it through inspection. And without a catalytic converter, that is just not going to happen. So let's just get to it. I think this is going to take a while, so let's just get to the point. Well, after a little bit of effort, we have unclogged all of the catalytic converter. So let's go ahead and get this back on the car, take it for a test drive, and hopefully that has resolved our issue. We can move on to the next step of giving this thing a bath, cleaning the inside up, getting it ready to be sold. If anyone was wondering, I got some rare earth metals here, gently used, for sale. Hit me up. So we have got the exhaust back on the car, catalytic converter cleared, hopefully of any clogs or blockages. And we're going to go for our first test drive, see if we're in business, see if this thing's good to roll. And a little nervous. I checked all the fluids. One thing I'm bringing with me, and I think honestly every car should have one of these, especially a modified car, is a fire extinguisher. So just in case this thing decides to burst into flames, we have a little bit of time, hopefully. And yeah, fingers crossed that we're in business and we can move on. And I can happily say that the test drive went awesome. Put some load on the rings, helped them get seated, drove it around, made sure everything seemed all right, and it appears to be. So now it's time for a little spa date. We're gonna get real deep in every crevice, make sure this thing is shined up, and then marketplace photo time. We're getting there, But I'm sure you guys are familiar with what a car washing sequence looks like, and I'm not gonna put you on a time lapse, so. And here she is, shined up and looking like a dime. It's actually really satisfying to see it back in this condition compared to when I got it and having all the problems and, events leading to this moment. This thing is looking really nice. It's got some bumps and bruises, but and we got her cleaned up on the inside. Little vacuum, little interior detailer from Armor All, and we are ready for marketplace. We took some photos, got it posted up. And if I didn't mention it, the first drive went really well. One put some fresh gas in it, opened its legs up, made sure to drive it really hard, put some load, get those rings seated, and everything appears to be ship shape. We're gonna double check everything again. I'm gonna put probably like 50, maybe 60 miles on the brand new engine, and then do an oil change just so that way the break-in oil's out, fresh oil is in, and we can get rid of all the glittery particulates of the break-in process. So let's go ahead and get that drive underway, and we'll be back with an oil change. To be quite honest, I'm a little over it at this point too, but here we are. All right, so after about 250 miles of driving on the Kia, I have noticed that this car has a pretty substantial oil leak, like 7.3 Peterbilt, like putting all of them to shame. It just leaks constantly. So the silicone seal must not have been to the specs, or just not enough sealing sauce, whatever it may be. I really wish the companies would have like a reusable gasket. Again, that's just the LS guy in me. And so here we are with the old Ultra Black, and this time we're gonna make sure that we got all the sealing sauce on this thing. So let's go ahead and get to it. We're gonna set this thing up like I'm Paula Deen. And that is, ooh, that is a lot of sauce on that. That is a lot of sauce. Oh my, that might be a little much. No such thing, no. No such thing. I probably didn't think this through either because I'm gonna have to get this on the car fairly fast. Oh my, this is not how I would recommend anyone doing this. It's getting on my hands everywhere. This is not how I would recommend this, but this is a different program. Do as I say, not as I do, maybe? I don't know. This angle's awesome, by the way. I think this camera angle, top notch. Top notch. Oh my gosh, the sauce is coming out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a bead. We're gonna seal all the horsepower in with this right here. Oh, perfect. Oh yeah. We are cooking up some horsepower in the kitchen today. I think there's like directions that, oh, let this sit out for an hour. I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact this is gonna get all over me. Oh, it's getting everywhere. Maybe I should just do this in one take because we're gonna do it live. Oh my God, my sleeve is getting in it. Oh my God. Thankfully, I wear stuff that I'm not afraid to throw away afterwards. Beauty of the program, the method behind the madness. Probably shouldn't be getting gasket maker in the holes that the bolts are going to go into. But, you know, whatever. Gets the job done. This is, oh man, this stuff is tacky. This is getting so, and yes, I cleaned the pan out, cleaned all the surfaces, used a razor blade, a, you know, brush, all that good stuff. Oh no. Oh God. This is getting this is like preschool finger paint class. Fuck it. Get it in there. And right here for sure is where it was leaking last time. So let's really lay on the sauce. Get it all in there. There's definitely somewhere like a textbook or a manual or directions of some kind, like, hey, don't do it this way. But you know, we're learning, we're trying. Oh my God, that's excess city. Oh my God. There's so much material. Okay. Oh, that is horrendous. That is really bad. I keep this clip of me laughing about how much material is on this pan right now, and then let's pan to when the next horrendous thing happens that was caused by too much excess RTV, like a lot of gasket maker. I'm not a professional, nor do I claim to be. I'm just a guy trying to make money off of flipping cars to get cooler cars. You know, it's like a cycle. You know, you start with a Kia Forte, next thing you know, you're like Matt Armstrong, and it's a Lamborghini Urus. Audi RS3. You know, old muscle. Wow, that is... I am gonna have to wash my hands. Let me give you an up close and personal of this work of art we've completed here. Definitely not gonna leak. Hopefully. Hopefully not. Again, probably a little excessive. I would say use gloves because it's really hard to get this stuff off your hands. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in place, snug the bolts, go take a lunch break, come back out, and tighten them down to their proper spec. That way you give time for the gasket to expand while it's like kind of drying. There's probably some science behind what actually is happening there, but per the directions, we're gonna snug the bolts, let the gasket set, tighten it down later. So let's get to it. All right, we got some food in us, The pan is back on the car loosely, a little snug, you know, to let that sealing sauce do what it's gonna do. We're not gonna fill it up with oil until tomorrow. That way it can just sit overnight, let the gasket, you know, solidify, do the whole deal. And to avoid any other catastrophe, we did the old no oil on the key so we don't, you know, start it and that would be a disaster. So let's get to putting oil in it. Pan to tomorrow. And cue tomorrow. We have gone ahead and prepared our newly fixed work truck, and we're gonna go on a scrap run, try and make back some money and see if it's still leaking. You know, they do say every dollar does count, and we have some items that I would prefer not to stay in my driveway. So we're gonna take the transmission, the exhaust manifold, some pistons. That is a VTEC solenoid for a Honda Odyssey. And the radiator, obviously, if I hadn't already said that, and just some other random things I have lying around. The other thing I have the guts of the catalytic converter that was clogged. I mean, it's rare earth metals. People steal catalytic converters all the time these days, so maybe the metal's worth something. Again, extra gas money right now wouldn't hurt, so let's just give it a try. And we have a pretty minty setup. I got myself, you know, little tarp thing, some spare carpet I had lying around, these floor mats that were in the car. So if anything spills, A, that is going to be the ultra mess, and B, I hope it just stays confined to this area. This is like one of those where you lift with your legs, not your back. Good form. Don't scratch the bumper, because that would suck. Oh my. Okay, well, that's not good. Make sure that you get all of the excess fluid on the bumper of your car. Whew. You know, it was a little bit more manageable without the torque converter in it for those that are putting a transmission in their car. All right, let's take 5, everyone. Well, if it fits, it ships. We're gonna have to go ahead and put a hitch on this thing. This is gonna be my new Korean work truck. There's a few other things I want to try and fit in here before we leave, but that is quite a sight. When things go horribly wrong today on this journey, you can pan back to this moment right here, to when everything went wrong. The other thing I wanted to take to the dump was the 5 gallons of coolant and the 5 gallons of used transmission fluid and oil to the dump. I mean, I kind of took a little bit of these containers and filled them so that way it wasn't tippity topped, but we have the opportunity here to create the mother of all messes. I've used the transmission and this little 2x4 to try to hold the bucket in place, but we're gonna have to drive Miss Daisy today. That's gonna be the goal. Well, time to send it. The other thing that we still have to do is like some last minute touch-up stuff. And to start, we're gonna go ahead and do the good old-fashioned AC Pro and get this AC blowing ice cold. The other thing we're going to do is replace the cabin air filter, because I don't think it has ever been replaced. Pretty gross. So out with the old, in with the new. The other thing that we need to do is I've vacuumed it, I've cleaned it, spray detailed, and it has a weird smell. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. Kind of smells a little on the smokier side. But we replaced the cabin air filter, which is not going to solve that problem. I have this little product right here, and I've always wanted to try it because it is ridiculous and obnoxious. So let's give this a try. Warning, flammable aerosol causes serious eye irritation. Keep away from heat, spark, open flame. No smoking. Do not spray on open flame. I don't know how it's going to work in here. Do not get in the eyes. Keep out of reach of children. Sweet. And it has first aid directions. So what could possibly go wrong? Basically, we're going to turn the vehicle on, turn the AC on to full blast, put this in the center of the vehicle and click it into place so it blows aerosol, which will take a minute to discharge. Love that. That's going to look awesome. And then we have to let this car sit for 15 minutes. So I believe there's no weird things in here that are going to be an open flame, and we should be okay. So I guess we're just going to have to go for it. Fire in the hole. So now we just set the timer for 15 minutes. We'll see if it makes a dent in this funky smell. Stay tuned. It has been a minute, but I can happily say that we have sold the Kia Forte finally, and thank goodness. It has been an uphill battle every step of the way with that car. And now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is, can you make money off of flipping auction cars, specifically abandoned auction cars for this go around? And that's going to come into play here in my little TED Talk, my spiel. We're going to go over what we got into the car investment wise and what we got back as a return. It is going to be lengthy. There's going to be a little bit of, a conversation to be had about things that we learned and things that we picked up. So for those of you that don't want to hear it and just want to get to the end because, you get ADHD and want to just get to the result, I'm going to put below a timestamp to skip to for the results. Okay, let's get into it. So we picked up this car abandoned. Abandoned is the key word here, because in my mind, being a novice, I was like, well, whatever it would need, I'll just fix up and get it out. We paid $1,000 for this car. I'm sorry, $1,350 for this car. Now, I have tracked every single dime into this car, and this car, it needed everything. I mean, even a key just to get it started. I kept a list. And as you can see, it is lengthy. In fact, so lengthy, it even goes on to the next page. So some key things that, I picked up and learned. There's a reason that this car was abandoned. I mean, that might sound really stupid to some of you, but to me, I had this in my head, a crystal clear diamond image of it just, needing something and being back on the road. It was a 2014 car with 80,000 miles. How bad could it possibly be? Well, to start, just to get a key for this thing was $314. And that was getting the key itself cut at a local locksmith. And again, I was like, oh, I'm saving money. I got 2 keys. Well, you still need the fob, because who's going to buy a car that doesn't have the fob to unlock it and do the trunk and all that good stuff? So all in on the key, kind of crazy to think about. Then we ran into what I would refer to as the shocking news that the transmission was blown. So we had to spend $477 on a transmission, but it did have a warranty, which came into play later. So that saved us some money a little bit there. Another really, really big thing with this car is just like your little nuanced details, right? Like the fluids for the oil change, the transmission fluid, a lot of those added up. I mean, spark plugs, an AC condenser, your Maryland State inspection, which then revealed more things that it needed. The U-Hauls to go back and forth from the dealership to get the transmission program, because you can't just put a transmission in this car. You got to get it programmed to the car. You got to scan the QR code to make sure IT is okay with it. So again, it's a lengthy list. We could talk for hours about it. But after the engine blow up, transmission issues, replacing everything it needed from MSI, the fluids, all in, everything, we're looking at $5,665.85. So, in my head, I said, this car's got a fresh engine, it's got a fresh trans, everything works the exact way that it should. I'm going to put this at $7,500. I feel like that's very acceptable. It's not a lot of profit for the amount of work that I put in, but I think it's, good. And it didn't move on Marketplace at all. You're talking to someone who has put scratched to hell rims on Marketplace, and I get a response relatively soon, whether or not it's a low ball or not. So this thing went 2 entire months with not a single hit. So I just made a decision that every single month that this car doesn't get any attention, it is going to drop by $500 every single month consistently. Well, turns out we didn't start getting any interest at all until we got to the $5,500 mark. So we're already $100 down before anyone even is willing to look at this car. And that's when one of my first lessons, if you will, came into play. I have a folder here of all of my receipts, all of my paperwork for every part that I did on this car, the warranties for the transmission, the MSI, all of it. Well, when people start inquiring about the car, they start going, wow, this car has had a lot done to it. It's had some issues. All true. Then they go, are you a mechanic? To which my reply is, no, I am not an ASC certified mechanic. I am just a guy that does this on the side. This is kind of a thing that I do. And immediately people lose interest, lowball, don't want anything to do with this car. And it became a systemic issue. I would get people that would come, look at this car, be really stoked, test drive it, have no issues. And then when they ask the questions of all the work that it's had done and I show all the paperwork, but I'm not a mechanic, dunzo. Deal ended. Goodbye. Bye, Felicia. I don't want anything to do with this car. So the car kept dropping in price. And eventually at about $4,500, I changed the listing entirely. I changed the listing to the car has 83,000 miles, new transmission in it, Maryland State inspected, clean title, ready to go. Come look at it, make offer. People were making offers and coming in and lowballing, doing your Facebook Marketplace deal. Well, ladies and gentlemen, months and months and months have gone by. And at this point, I'm holding myself up from going to the next car project to potentially make money and more cool content. So what's the battle I want to choose? Do I want to get every ounce out of this car, or do I want to make back some of my money, brush the dust off, learn the lesson the hard way, nothing new to me, and move on? So we did the option that was what I felt was sensible. So we ended up selling this car cash, ready to roll, $3,500, which, woo, making it rain loss. Yes, we took quite a hit. This has been quite a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. So in closing, yes, we took a pretty decent loss on this car, but the knowledge that I picked up, I think, offsets it because it is priceless. So one thing that I did learn, the parts on that car are pretty valuable. Like just the cores of the transmission and the engine would have paid the $1,000 that I paid into the car. I would have been even. Then there's the doors, the glass, the wheels. So I would have made money just parting out this car. That's important. So in the future, abandoned cars might not be untouchable, but they're part outs. They're not something that you're going to invest a lot of time or money into. Didn't understand that at first, but now we know, it's it's part of doing business, but this is how we learn. So the other thing I will say is selling cars just on Marketplace kind of pigeonholes you into tire kickers, people that want to waste your time, the is this available spam. So maybe we need to branch out, start posting to Craigslist, Facebook, bring a trailer, whatever. It's just things to keep in mind and talking points. We are definitely by no means giving up. We are now going to move on and we're just going to try again. And I think we can really, if I try hard enough and keep being persistent, this can turn into something very cool. So check the can you make money off the abandoned car, auction car, because it's a negative depending on how you do it. This has been 173 TV. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please share, hit a like, subscribe. Plenty of more videos to come. And until next time, I'm going to see you guys later. I'm just an LS guy, you know, represent. That was weird. Take it for a test drive. Yeah, test drive. Test drive. Well, our makeshift, what is that? I'm just a DIYer, what do I know? I'm just a DIYer, what the heck, what does that even mean? Oh yeah, right on the jeans. Get in the car. Oh, that's a mess. It could be an adventure. It could be fun. Okay. So, shaking up to get all the, whatever is it, magic moving in here. What?